What's good, everybody? Do you want to see it? Intersectional minds don't want people to know. So right off the bat, I think I should insert a short disclaimer here, just to let a few people know who have discovered my channel and still watch. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. Well, that's fucking obvious! Yeah, shut up. Basically, I don't have the subscriber count or viewership to branch out like that. I got a bunch of life crap going on that doesn't leave a whole lot of time required to research and read 20 different articles and studies per video and get them pushed out on a decent schedule. So I make commentary videos on some issues where I just shoot the shit and voice my opinion on things. Now, would I like to be full-time? Sure. But I would have to earn that first with a way higher quality and frequency of content. So for those who really like my commentary videos or any of the other videos on my channel, the best way to see more of it more often is to obviously subscribe, but also share it, like it, comment, get it swirling around in that mysterious YouTube algorithm. Follow my Twitter or Minds account because those are the two main apps I use for updates. And sometimes memes. So, with that said, I've been following the whole controversy surrounding the Captain Marvel situation, and like with most people, the glaring similarities to Ghostbusters 2016 and The Last Jedi haven't been lost on me. Now, one thing I wanted to point out was that while I can appreciate the righteous indignation of the many people bashing this film because of the comments made by its leading actress, Brie Larson, and the response the film industry media has given, I really don't think this movie is going to tank. At least I didn't. But now with the most recent development from the Rotten Tomatoes website, boy, I don't know. A brief rundown of the situation is basically, Brie Larson made some comments at some award show, the Crystal Awards or something, in reference to the A Wrinkle in Time movie.
Our industry has gone through a major growth. We are expanding to make films that better reflect the people that buy movie tickets, but they are not allowed enough chances to read public discourse on these films by the people that these films were made for. I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what that film meant to women of color, to biracial women, to teen women of color, to teens that are biracial. And for the third time, I don't hate white dudes. These are just facts. These are not my feelings. And I'm really sorry, Lindsay. Please don't kill me. As some of you know, I immediately jumped on to Frances's brilliant words, inclusion rider, and this was way before she had bumper stickers for her iPad, because I know that this means that my work will be shown, digested, discussed by a variety of people, not just a singular perspective. I want to know what my work means to the world, not a narrow view. Thanks, Mom.
Now this show was apparently a while ago, and there wasn't really any huge controversy over what was said, but then Brie was announced to be the titular character in the latest MCU movie, Captain Marvel, and the ensuing shitstorm was something to watch. Brie was then given an interview where the interviewer was obviously told to run damage control for her.
Now, one thing I want to say, one thing I love about you is you had a great story happen recently about inclusivity and diversity in press. And I'm a white male, and I commended you completely on that. But
Thanks.
Most people, when that article dropped, it was headlines that were completely taking you out of context. Like she wants no white men at press junction, which is not what you were saying. And people need to read the articles to actually find out the context of what you were saying.
Yeah.
But as an actor, when you have to say something like that, do you worry about how things get twisted? And for audiences who only do read headlines, can you clarify what you were saying? 'Cause I think it's awesome what you're doing, and I hope that more actors do it.
I mean, it's hard for me to comment on that because I don't know what the headlines were or what was said or what I said or what people think that I said. All that I know is what I'm looking for is to bring more seats up to the table.
Yep.
No one's getting their chair taken away. There's not less seats at the table. There's just more seats at the table. That's it.
I love that you're doing that, and please, I hope every actor sees what you're doing and does it more because we need more diversity.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Really agree.
Thank you.
Yeah, he didn't do a good job. Brie also made comments about the people interviewing her about the movie. It was basically in the same vein as her earlier statements. The impression a lot of fans got was that she wanted to assert a form of affirmative action, not just for critic opinions, but also who interviews her. She clarified by stating she wanted more minorities and women and not less white men, but most, myself included, find it hard to believe her. Next, MCU fans went to Rotten Tomatoes, and around 30 to 35,000 people made their distaste with Brie's comments known. Rotten Tomatoes has, or at least had, a yes or no feature in regards to who is excited about and planning on going to see a movie. The results were, I think it's safe to say, catastrophic. The lowest rated film in the MCU was The Incredible Hulk. Love that movie, by the way. At 70%. Captain Marvel was last rated at 26%, right before the latest purge. This seems to be the go-to method of the intersectional SJW crowd. If you can't convince people to agree with you, just censor them, because that solves everything. The rating system was altered across the entire site to where users can only click yes if they plan to go see a movie. Rotten Tomatoes promises the audience review system will remain untouched and be available after the release of the film, but I doubt it will be long before the audience review feature goes the way of the dinosaur too. Why though? Why does all of this continue to happen? Well, I have a theory. A film theory! Remember the 90s? The era the Captain Marvel film is going to take place in? Such better times. Social justice and the PC police still existed back then, but it was so different. No one was obsessed with doing what's quote-unquote right like they are today, and the PC made a bit more sense. What do I mean? Well, you remember shows like Full House? Loved it when I was a kid. And Family Matters, Step by Step, and of course Married with Children, which wasn't for kids, but I'm a rebel. You remember that feeling you got when you saw scenes like this?
I better not.
How come?
I'm trying to quit. You should have seen my last chest x-ray.
Sixth graders are terminally pathetic.
Uh-oh, there's the bell. We better get going. Uh-oh. The bell. Uh-oh.
Hey, give her a break. She's a good kid.
Oh, yeah? Then why don't you go be a good kid with her?
Give me a light.
Where'd you find that dweeb?
Smoking is bad, drinking is bad.
Now, as I was saying, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs. If you do them, you're bad. Because drugs are bad, okay? It's a bad thing to do drugs, so don't be bad by doing drugs, okay? That'd be bad. Drugs are bad. Okay?
Kids of the 90s saw this and were like, yeah, we get it. Drugs are bad, you lame-o. Right? We knew what was right and wrong. We knew racism is wrong. We knew sexism is wrong. But we didn't dwell on it. But now it's all Hollywood wants to dwell on. So much so that they'll lie in promotions for their own product. If you're a young kid today, from all the promotions, you would think that Captain Marvel is Marvel's first female-led movie, because that's what keeps getting plastered over television and the internet. But she isn't. Elektra was the first. In fact, Elektra was the first Marvel movie to be connected to another Marvel movie. It was a spin-off from the Ben Affleck-led Daredevil movie, but it was also its own thing. They wanted sequels out of it. They wanted a franchise. You could say this was the first MCU. And yes, I know there are older live-action Marvel movies, but I don't think any of them were connected in the sense that a character from one movie had their own movie in the same universe. But go back and take a look at the marketing for Elektra. As far as I remember, there was no big push of, look, we got a Whammon now, the first Whammon movie. Everyone go see it or you're a sexist. Now, was there any of this is the first female-led Marvel movie said back then? I don't know. Probably. But it was nowhere near the psychotic frenzy that is ensuing today. People didn't care. It was just the next comic book movie. Same for Blade, which unlike Elektra was actually successful. But I did like Elektra too. There is absolutely nothing original or groundbreaking about the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. But the plan from the studio was to try and gather as much money from the ticket sales as possible. So they tried to rope in the SJW crowd. Honestly, the marketing wasn't that bad at the beginning. Annoying, yes, but I honestly thought the first trailer for the movie was fine. Even with the stupid hurro and the cringy little girl falling down and getting back up shot. But then people found out about Brie's comments, and that, added with the feminist undertones of the promotions, got people criticizing the movie. And we can't have that. The SJW media has launched an endless shame and blame campaign against anyone who speaks ill of Brie or the movie. Just like with Ghostbusters, and The Last Jedi, and Star Trek Discovery. Anyone who says anything bad about the project is a sexist, man-baby, racist, goblin, troll, Voldemort, M. Bison, You get the idea. Getting back to the Full House clip, take that scene you just saw from back then, and now take a look at what it's replaced by today.
I'm so over the toxic masculinity in this hallway right now.
That was Riverdale from the CW, an Archie Comics adaptation. When I first saw the promo poster for this show, I was genuinely interested, but then I saw it was a CW show and knew I wouldn't be checking it out. The CW, I think, is a perfect representation of what decades of indoctrination will do to a population. Now things we are supposed to know are wrong isn't underage substance abuse. You know, real problems. No. Now kids of today's generation are supposed to know that masculinity is the problem, and racism is still bad unless it's against the so-called oppressive white race. Now Brie Larson is around 30, so she grew up during the same era as me, so I wouldn't say it was indoctrination in school that got to Brie. In fact, I don't think she is indoctrinated at all. The Brie Larson situation can be summed up in one of two theories. Either she is a dyed-in-the-wool, gulp-down the feminist Kool-Aid ideologue, or she's playing the game the gatekeepers in Hollywood told her she has to play to get ahead. Hollywood is controlled by the intersectional types. If you want to get roles and move ahead, you have to think the right things, or at least act like you do. That being said, take a look at this speech from Andrew Garfield.
This means a great deal. Thank you so much. At a moment in time where maybe the most important thing that we remember right now is the sanctity of the human spirit, it is the profound privilege of my life to play Prior Walter in Angels in America, because he represents the purest spirit of humanity, and especially that of the LGBTQ community. It is a spirit that says no to oppression. It is a spirit that says no to bigotry, no to shame, no to exclusion. It is a spirit that says we are all made perfectly and we all belong. So I dedicate this award to the countless LGBTQ people who have fought and died to protect that spirit, to protect that message, for the right to live and love as we are created to. Tony Kushner, thank you for being the angel of America that we all wish we could live in, that we all dream of living in one day. We are all sacred and we all belong, so let's just bake a cake for everyone who wants a cake to be baked.
That speech was from the Tony Awards, where Andrew won for his work in the Broadway show Angels in America. Now, I've never seen the show and don't really know or care that much about Andrew Garfield, but the reason I played the clip is because, well, I mean, look at his face when he makes the speech. Now, I could totally be wrong when I say this, and that's fine, but to me, it looks like an actor who knew he had to make some kind of LGBT speech because he was in an LGBT show and was trying his best to be, you know, compelling. Not saying he wasn't sincere about the overall issue of LGBT rights. He could be gay himself. Don't know, don't care. But just look at his face. Especially at the end, you know, that little nod and forced smile, it just looks fake to me. Like it was a by the numbers thing he had to spit out to score some points. Now this brings us back to Brie in the Captain Marvel movie. Watching it all unfold, one can't help but look at the similarities to things like Star Wars and Star Trek, and the film that seems to have started the resistance to this forced diversity BS, Ghostbusters 2016. But I don't think Captain Marvel is going to be another Ghostbusters. People are already saying they enjoy the film. I haven't seen a whole lot of praise for Brie herself, except for the usual regurgitation from the media, but you got Sam Jackson, and more than that, it's an MCU movie. The MCU hasn't had a flop yet, and they seem to have settled on a formula that works to the point where they can push out 2 or 3 movies in one year, and they'll all be, if not massively, at least moderately successful. So no, Captain Marvel isn't going to flop. But will the final total be lower than what Marvel wants? Yeah, most definitely. Just like with The Last Jedi, which is where I think the MCU is headed if they don't course correct, and fast. Depending on the numbers for Captain Marvel, I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I might be a bit relieved if reshoots for Endgame are announced, because if the plan is to have Captain Marvel swoop in and One Punch Man Thanos out of the MCU, then whatever movie is scheduled after Endgame, I think, is going to get the Solo treatment. Hollywood needs to understand that intersectional SJW culture is not what moviegoers want in their movies at the expense of things, you know, like plot, character development, and, I don't know, entertainment. The only way I think they're gonna understand, the only way that's going to happen, is if they lose money. Then they'll throw that shit out real quick. But those are just my thoughts on the situation after observing it for a while. Hope you all liked the video, and to those who like my fan trailers, got more on the way. To those who like my more off-the-cuff videos where I just sit and talk, I'll do more of those too. And if you like this kind of video, don't hesitate to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Y'all have a good one. Peace.